Shinab Shabbos Parshas Toldos. In this week's Parsha, we are introduced to Yaakov and Eisav, and that's why the Parsha is not called Yitzchak, even though Eisav told us Noach, it was Parshas Noach. Over here, Eisav told us Yitzchak. It's not called the Parsha of the Parsha. It's not Parshas Yitzchak because the story is bad about the Toldos of Yitzchak, Yaakov and Eisav. Interesting, huh? And the kids are. Here's what happened. The kids grew up, which is an interesting thing. Randomly, they grow up so fast. No, that's not what it was. Why is the Torah telling us that they grew up? So Rashi says they grew up, and now you can tell exactly, more what their personality is. Because until then, they're both steiging side by side. Yaakov and Eisav were two brothers steiging side by side, and they were both tzaddikim. And then they became bar mitzvah. That's why Ravinus and Eibshit says that that's why Eisav's head went into the Mars Machpelah, because his head was really to be with the Avos HaKadoshim. But his body, his guf, his artius, that wasn't it. But you could really see the origins of Yaakov and Eisav when they grew up. What happened? What's the first thing Eisav does? He leaves the first time in every Rekiva Egg or every Chasam Sofer, every bris Torah that he knows. What happens to it? He goes and he murders, and he steals Gimel Averis Chamuras. He comes back, he's wiped. Wow, what a ben azmanim. And he sees Yaakov is cooking up some lentils. He totally ignores the fact that it's, Avelos. For Avram Avinu. And to the sense of smelling it, or hearing, the snap, crackle, and pop of it. There's different madrigas of senses. You don't taste it until it's actually in your mouth. Sight is the first thing that hits you, right? As soon as the waiter walks out, you see it. Yeah, you can tell what color it is. You don't even know if it's yours. You don't know what it smells like. You don't know what it tastes like. You don't know what it sounds like. You don't get that stuff. First thing Eisav does, on the outer crust, the first shell, the chitzonis, was just red. It's red. I got a color. That's all I need. I'm done here. That's it. I got red. It's very red. Just give me the red stuff. I don't even forget the fork. Just pour it down my throat. I'm hungry. Yaakov, on the other hand, who's Yaakov in contrast to Eisav? He asks for b'chaira. What's a b'chaira? It's a very primius de gezach. At this point, it just means he'll be doing avodah. Very much primius. That's where you see the divergence of Yaakov and Eisav. See this with Sodom. How do you see this with Sodom? Tied in a little bit. I went to the Yam HaMelech a little while ago, and I had this hour on the way. I think this Shem Shmuel who says that the Yam HaMelech has no life in it. It's a lifeless body of water. Why? I'll say it's because the Yam HaMelech doesn't feed into any other body of water. Right? The Yarden flows into the Yam HaMelech, if the Israeli government lets. But the Yam HaMelech doesn't go anywhere else. That's the end of the water chain. Anybody who does not give of themselves to others. It's the Dead Sea. Hey, that Sodom was by the Yam HaMelech. It was turned over, and there's Yam HaMelech over there. Sodom was not willing to share their commerce. They were not willing to share their homes there. And what to be desired, yeah? I heard a crazy story about chesed giving, about seeing a little bit beyond ourselves, deeper. Crazy part. Here's the story. There was a year of Moshe Friedman. He was nifter. He went through the Holocaust himself, and his son was born in Siberia, 1930. Late 1930s, something like that. Yeah, 1930. So 1945, his father said, I heard that the Nazis, Yimach Shemam V'Zichram, made bars of soap out of actual Jews. Part of just the endless horror of the Holocaust. And he said, and he took on the sacred mission with his son. He said, we're going to go to Poland. We're going to buy every bar of soap that came out of one of these German factories, and we're going to give it a kvura. We're going to bury every one of these bars of soap that we can get our hands on. It's a wild, wild story. This is the mission that I never heard of anybody doing this. It's incredible. they did, Taka. He went with his 15-year-old son, David Friedman, and they went through Poland, and they took their savings from Siberia, and they went around to every store, and they found all the bars of soap, and they went to every house and said, "You have any soap? We want to buy it. We'll pay you top dollar." And they made this massive burial for all of these Hailing Neshamas. Wild story. Years later, Rav Moshe Friedman was in Eretz Yisrael, and he visited Rav Ovadia Yosef with his family. And when he came in, Rav Ovadia Yosef said that he smelled the reich of Gan Eden. Wow. I don't know what that smells like. Rav Ovadia knew what it smelled like. I wouldn't know if it hit me in the face. But Rav Ovadia smelled it. He said, what's the shot? I said, I don't know. So Rav Ovadia said, everyone out. He got, all that was left was him, Rav David, and a translator. And he said, you have to tell me, why do you smell like Gan Eden? He said, I don't know, when I was a kid, I went with my father. He thought maybe this is the schus. And we collected all these bars of soap, and we buried them. He said, it sounds like it's more your father's schus. Is there more to the story? And Rav Ovadia pushed him, and he said, the truth is, there was a point when my father went somewhere else, and he left me alone in Poland on a street corner, and we're on our way out of, we basically finished our mission, and there was this Polish peasant over there, ran over to me with a box of soap, and he said, I heard you guys are buying soap. He said, yep, that's what we're doing. He says, I have a box. He said, I would very much like to buy that and bury it, thank you. And he said, okay, but you're paying for it, right? He said, I was a 15-year-old kid, I didn't own a wallet, and my father wasn't around. And I told him, look, I don't have any money on me, but this is a definite sale. It's done and done. Just give me the soap, and I'll go to my father and get some money for you. And he said, no. He said, that's not how it works around here. He says, if I don't see money, you're not getting the soap. So he looks at Rav Ovadia Yosef, and he said, I noticed at that point that if this guy was ready to walk away, and I needed to give him something to get the soap off his hands. And I saw that he was wearing very thin pants in a freezing Polish winter. And I happened to own a very warm pair of pants. I gave him my pants. We swapped pants right there. And I got the soap. And Rav Ovadia Yosef says, that makes sense. That box of soap that you buried that day, that you gave up, literally, you gave your pants up to give these neshamas a kvura. Those neshamas have followed you around your entire life. Of course you're going to smell like Gan Eden when you have neshamas like that living with you. Could you imagine? Years later, this Rav David passed away. And the only person in the world who knew the story, besides Rav Ovadia Yosef, was the interpreter. So he came to be Menachem Ovel. He was sitting there with the family, and he says, "You should know that story with the bar of soap in your father's pants is incredible." And they said, "What pants?" He never told his family. That was the chesed between him, the neshamas, and the Rebbeinu Shlalom. He had a nice trip to Rav Ovadia Yosef. This story, why should they know? That's a chesed. That's a gibor. That's someone who looks beyond the sense of sight. He works his way up. Sometimes with Havdalah, we go up different layers on our face. Our senses are lined up in different madregas. We be zeiche to work all the way up to our minds, to actually think and be givers, be able to give of ourselves. And be zeiche to the Kol Shleima B'Karev. Good Shabbos.